People who have woken up during surgery, what happened? They were talking about buying vintage lunchboxes on eBay. I wasn't properly awake or in pain, but I could feel / had awareness that their hands were inside me. The anesthesiologist noticed my eyes were open, and I woke up again properly when they were wheeling me into recovery. I woke up when they were removing a small bone from my foot that was broken. Remember feeling them poke around in my foot, so decided to take a look. Remember seeing the incision, and just then, a nurse noticed me with my head up. She just lightly pushed my head back down, told me to close eyes, and the next thing I know I was in the recovery room. Pretty weird. I woke up while they were putting a metal plate in my arm. They used a block which basically made my entire arm from shoulder to hand numb. When I woke up I could remember hearing a drill and a slight pressure in the arm they were working on. I just said, "This is awesome." Followed shortly by someone saying oops. Quickly went back to sleep. I was getting a lumbar puncture to check how the cancer was going and woke up on the table. I was listening to the people in the room, getting ready to stick in the needle, and I said, "You know I'm awake." And they were just like, "Oh, better give him some more." I was around 10, and after that they started giving me adult doses of propofol to put me under. I also needed to be held in place since I apparently like to flop around. I woke up partway through having all 4 wisdom teeth removed. The assistant had wrapped her arms around my forehead, the dentist had his knee on my sternum and was yanking two-handed on the largest pair of pliers I've ever seen that somehow fit into my mouth. He stopped, nodded to the anesthesiologist, and then thankfully I didn't remember anything else. Edit. Doc in question was an oral maxillofacial surgeon. Sometimes your dentist can do this under only a local and you're just fine. Whatever. I didn't feel anything, certainly no pain, so I guess things were done right. I wasn't put under for my wisdom tooth extraction. One day it just flared up, and the pain got so bad I couldn't eat or sleep without being in utter misery. Finally took the day off work and set up a last-minute appointment with a dental surgeon back home. Turns out they thought I was just going in for a consultation. I told them I couldn't miss another day of work, as I just started the job in another city. They reluctantly said they'd remove it, but they couldn't put me under without blood tests, they could only freeze it. I didn't care, I just needed it done. Instant regret. That guy was a damn butcher. The freezing barely worked, and I felt everything he did, from slicing my gum open to digging around in there trying to get the damn tooth out. The nurse tried to give me a stress ball halfway through, but I was gripping my shirt so tightly that she ended up just leaving it in my lap. At one point I whimpered involuntarily, and the surgeon just stepped back and threw up his hands, saying, "I don't know what you want me to do. I can't freeze it anymore. If you can't take it, you'll just have to come back." He'd been digging around for what felt like at least 10 minutes at that point. There was no way I was coming back after that. Didn't hear a peep out of me for the rest of the procedure. When I got home, one of the stitches fell out of my mouth immediately. The other didn't last much longer. I had a bruise the size of a tennis ball for a good week or so after that. I looked like I'd just been to a fight club. I'll never go back to that place again. Miserable old bastard. So I guess I might be the only person who enjoyed having their wisdom teeth out. I was 17, and all 4 had been coming in impacted, crushing my other teeth together. Got an appointment at the dentistry university, where they did extractions under local rather than general. Mega freezing, couldn't feel a thing. But I was still nervous, so they gave me a shot of Valium. And then my dental surgeon comes in. Utterly gorgeous. Liquid gray-blue eyes. My drugged-up 17-year-old self lies there, gazing up at this vision of doctorly loveliness. Afterwards I barely swelled up, had a bit of pain and a week's worth of codeine. I'd do it all again if I had enough teeth. I worked as a surgical assistant for an oral and maxillofacial surgeon. I saw so many things, but the one that stands out the most was when we were just about to start on a huge guy. He was 6'3" and weighed around 250. Extremely fit, buff guy. During the beginning of the procedure, the guy immediately woke up and went insane. He had a PTSD episode. He started pushing, kicking, punching, screaming, "I have to help them. I have to help my men escape. I can't leave them behind. He's been shot. They killed them." He was sobbing. There were more than 5 of us that were in the room, and we could barely hold him down before the doctor could finally administer any type of sedative. Turns out what he was screaming had actually happened to him. It still gives me goosebumps. I remember it like it was yesterday. We ended up rescheduling his surgery. I'm a big guy, and when the anesthesiologist gave me the dose, he told me I would be asleep in 10 minutes. About 15 minutes later, I'm lying there still awake, and I can hear that they are about to start. So I decide to give it hey there. The doctor was astonished and was like, "You're still awake?" So they had me another dose, and I finally drifted off. I woke somewhere in the middle of the surgery, and I could tell they had no idea I had woken up. I started to feel a lot of pain, but I was afraid of startling the doctor, making his hand slip. So I kind of quietly sang "oh," but got louder and louder until they heard me and freaked out. All is well now though. Heart is fully functioning and all. I woke up during wisdom teeth removal. They noticed and increased the dosage. It didn't work, and I pretty much had to lay there delirious for half an hour while they pulled my teeth out. I remember being really mad at the dentist for putting me through so much pain, but after the operation was over they were very apologetic, and I realized that it wasn't really their fault. I had an endoscopy and colonoscopy the same morning. I was told, since I was doing both, that I would have general anesthesia and not remember a thing. I warned them that I have had to be given extra medicine before. I'll tell that story next, but I think they didn't believe me. I didn't wait during the endoscopy. During the colonoscopy, I came to, but I was heavily out of it from the drugs I needed for the endoscopy. I was looking at the screen and realized I saw what they were, the inside of my colon. Anesthesia makes me really giddy and weird, so I decided to make a joke. I said, "Looks like I did a really good job cleaning myself out," referring to the prep you do the day before to clean out your bowels. Following this, I started laughing. Thinking back, this could have been bad because you are supposed to stay still so they don't puncture anything. They got a good laugh out of me though and turned up the meds. I don't remember the rest. The second story is I had to have a lump the size of a golf ball removed from my breast. Luckily, it was benign. Before surgery, they gave me the anesthesia, and it seemed normal at first. Instead of falling asleep though, I just went on a really crazy trip. The big light next to me was shimmering like it was wet and changing colors. The tiles on the ceiling were expanding and getting longer than smaller. This went on for what seemed like a long time before the room looked normal again. I spoke up and said, "I think you need to give me more." The nurse must have had a near heart attack. I was supposed to be asleep. The doctor came in, verified I was wide awake, and they gave me more. In the 90s, I woke up during knee surgery, like just fully snapped awake and sat up. All of these wide-eyed masked faces just turned and stared at me. I looked down at my clamped open leg, looked at one of the masked faces that everyone seemed to be deferring to, and said, "I don't think I want to be awake for this." They put me back under, and as it drifted off, I started to feel pain. Woke up after the surgery, and the doctor came in and apologized. I had specifically mentioned that I require more anesthesia than most people. The Reddit think that's is finally being acknowledged in modern medicine, but they didn't believe me and gave me a normal dose.